We ain't got time to waste because we have 5 seconds of summer in the
Hello.
Congratulations, man. I mean, just another wonderful piece of music that's showing the growth of the band. And, I know it's important to you that, you continue to grow with every single project. So it must feel great to know that fans are getting to hear another side of you just because you're in a real process. You've always been a process band.
Definitely. We went into this album like we have the previous ones and tried to up our game every time and add new instruments and like try new things. And I think with Easier into Teeth, into No Shame, you can definitely see even a progression in the songwriting and the sonic and the lyric through those 3 songs, and that continues throughout the rest of the album, which we announced the name of it today is Calm, C-A-L-M.
In capital letters. What is the relevance of that?
Callum, Ashton, Luke, and Michael.
And so it's stupid.
Yeah, man.
When it's right in front of your face. It's like, oh my God.
It's something our fans have abbreviated our names to for years and years.
Yeah.
And,
it makes a lot of sense that it being the 4th record as well. There's like 4 of us, and it's like kind of the pinnacle of everything that we've tried to accomplish so far.
How does it impact on you when you are sharing as much as you're sharing and trying to be a rock for your fans and create a positive energy around a large group of people?
For us, we've always tried to keep it pretty simple, that we make music, we love making music and playing shows, and fans of ours or people in general just find happiness in that, and we try not to overcomplicate that too much because that's just an amazing thing in general. So if we can do something that makes people happy that we love to do, then that's the dream.
Speaking of the dream, man, speaking of trying new instruments and trying new things, it's like easy when you're in the Wonka factory with Watt. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For those people that don't know, and you really should, now is the time to investigate into the musical abilities and history of Andrew Watt.
Wonka.
Yeah.
I like that. That's so accurate.
Dude, it's so true. You go down there, he puts on the pink light and the neon. It's like, where am I?
Yeah.
And it must have been nice to connect with someone who understands what modern music sounds like, but also loves to play legacy and music that's organic.
Especially with the new song that we just released, No Shame. We all plugged in different instruments and just mic'd up everything that we could, and we actually just started playing live. What you can hear on the record, we pretty much played that through one take live.
Yeah.
And we hadn't really done that before.
That's amazing.
In a record and actually like record it.
We put out some generic set list questions, you know what I mean, about B-sides and stuff. And Wildflowers come back and, man, people are already talking about that. They're coming back and saying, tell them to start with Babylon again. And I wonder sort of like when you're sort of going through your set list, it must be one of the most fun parts of the job.
It's one of the harder things, I feel like, at this point to get a set list like done where everyone's happy with it. Also, with this many like the amount of opinions that go into it, it makes it really awesome, but it's also one of the most frustrating things that we do.
It's tough as well
debatable,
because,
right?
it's tough as well because like, these 3 guys are like the closest people in my whole life. And when you're all in a room and you're like, all right, what do like we each individually think is cool and good? And it's so just like objective of like, what do you think? And what do you think? And then finding a middle ground of all of those things can just take so long.
It also it goes back to your question before though, because you kind of need to be a little bit selfish in the fact that you're going to be playing this for 6 months.
Yeah, you got 200 shows to do, and if you're lucky, you might see 3 or 4 as a fan.
Yeah.
We'll basically play the longest set we can on this upcoming tour.
What areas do you think that fans are going to learn? What new things do you think they're going to learn from this experience listening to the album, and where you found yourselves making this album?
I think we planted a lot of lyrical seeds for like directions that we could potentially go in. So with this album, it's a gateway to us exploring different lyricism. Really
interesting. So it's almost like a step into a new era for you.
Yeah, which we have no idea what will happen. That's why the album name is bold. It's calm. It's the 4 of us. It's the beginning and the end of the younger version of us. It's awesome.
You know what? I'm going to put out another tweet. 5 Sauce are looking for a
what single?
We're not playing any B-sides.
Touring guitar player.
Okay.
That could be the only worst thing.
Okay.
I can put up on Twitter right now. All those bands that, like, you read those stories about the Chili Peppers and stuff who like or tried to audition, and they had like 7,000 people show up. It's like, oh my God.
Eventually, we would love to have another person or 2 on stage.
You think so? Just to widen the sound?
Oh, it's so fun.
Why wouldn't you do it now? I mean, you've moved into a whole new territory in terms of the sound of the band.
Sometimes when we do stadium shows for like appeals and like big radio shows and stuff, we like do the whole 80s in excess horn section thing, and we get a bunch of extra people on stage, and I love that. I don't know if the whole band loves it, but
yeah, like we did an event the other day for the fires in Australia, and we had like, you know, backing singers and like a string section and did like a different version of stuff. So it is fun to have people on stage. It's just, you know, we're very aware that it's for individuals in the band.
So you talked about wanting to do touring smart and wanting to make sure that you had lifestyle and not just, you know, all of the stuff wrapped up into playing the shows and everything else, but actually maintaining some kind of life balance.
At the start of our career, that wasn't really like a thing we were thinking about. It was just, we didn't have a place to live. We were kind of just on the road for, you know, 4 or 5, so like 4 years straight or something. Just like hotels, and then like we live in a band house, but we never had a place to live, so it wasn't really a conscious thing. But looking back, it's like, oh, okay, that's why it was so mentally challenging.
Of course. Has it changed the way that the kind of expectations you set for yourselves now?
The wins are private wins these days. I mean, we classify success by what we decide, not what other people tell us we should do and achieve. And I think that's why we're in a happy place. But the key thing at the moment is everybody's interested in continually educating themselves, whether it be production or merchandise or whatever we do.
Well, let's talk about curiosity for a second and go down the line and find out from each of you, you know, what you sort of turn your attention to, if not music, and where you sort of put your passion that is left over outside of 5 Seconds of Summer or the pursuit of music, starting here.
I do eventually want to go back to school because I dropped out for this band. And
does that sit with you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I have more of a hunger to go back and achieve that, and just to continually grow as a person, really.
What about you?
Me, this band is a big mess of everything I love, and that's why I'm grateful. I get to do artistic direction. I get to be a musician and pursue that and evolve. I mean, I was never the best at what I played or anything, and this band gives me an actual.
But you hit the hardest, huh?
But it's a pressure. Well, it's a pressure cooker for musicality, and it's a pressure cooker for artistic, you know, drive and creating things that constantly are kind of criticized, and I like that.
So not gardening. What about you?
I do like gardening too.
Yeah, no gardening. My favorite part is the songwriting process of being in the band, and I think I've dove into that.
Yep, that's right.
Diving.
I've been diving.
I think I dove into that in the last like 3 years more so, pretty heavily. But I don't really know outside the band. It's kind of just like, I don't know, kind of just chill, and I haven't really figured it out, to be honest.
Do you have anything to add?
I mean,
Michael,
you know, again, like I'm still learning. Unlike Callum, I don't really want to go back to school. I was pretty at school.
Yeah, I actually have recurring nightmares about having to go back to school. So Callum, I respect you so much for that.
I have a lot of respect for that.
I want to slow it down. And I want to actually talk a little bit about what you've been doing from a homeland point of view, because it has been such a ridiculously crazy and affecting and difficult time for the world, and in particular Australia, but for the world to acknowledge that this is happening, really, really happening. And so it ain't like thoughts and prayers anymore. It's like, all right, we're all in the same boat now. And, you know, I know you guys have been committing your time and committing your resources and committing money and committing support on every level. And I just wondered if one of you could sort of talk a little bit about, you know, how you've been investing in that and what you've learned in the process.
We have a non-profit organization called Friends of Friends, in which we designed a whole merch range in which all the proceeds go to the Red Cross Foundation. And we're going back and we're playing a festival there called the Firefight Festival. And all those proceeds go towards that as well. And it's not very hard for us to be involved in that. It's all the people over there who are, you know, fighting those fires and constantly living in it every day. So it's the least we could do.